Talking with Adam Lerrick, a scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. As I say, he was the first person to introduce to me and to alert me to this very troubling development, which is that just about half of all Americans are not paying taxes at all, that we have a productive and a non-productive fissure right through the heart of our economy. We're going to be back with Professor Lerrick, assuming we can get that line cleared up, and we're going to try to do so. We're going to be vigorous in our efforts because he is so fascinating to talk with and to hear his views on what is happening. Stay with us for that. I want to also, well, you know what? We'll take it up on the other side of this commercial break. 877-55-DOBBS, 877-55-DOBBS. Make your voice heard. We'll be right back. Thinkers in the country. He's a scholar at the American Enterprise Institute and was patient enough to wait with us through the commercial break. Adam, again, thanks for staying with us on this. I want to go back to how we got here. You have just terrified me, to be honest, expressing that government effectively is nearly half of the economy now. What are the implications of that as best you can discern?
Not good. Because just think of it. The government is notoriously inefficient at running anything. As Milton Friedman used to say all the time, if you put the government in charge of the Sahara Desert, there'd be a shortage of sand.
I hadn't heard that one.
And if you're now thinking of channeling for almost half of the economy through the government, think of the waste. Think of the lost growth.
Think of this. This doesn't even include the recent takeover of a sixth of the economy through Obamacare.
True. I mean, the idea that we're going to have a federal government agency that's going to oversee the healthcare system and make it more efficient and lower costs and more effective than the private sector is, for any normal person, almost laughable. And anyone who's gone and gotten a driver's license knows that that's laughable.
Well, what are we doing, and why is it that I feel like a fool because I have not noticed as this percentage has crept up, that is government involvement at all levels, and particularly the federal government, as a dominant force in our economy.
It happens because it sounds like almost what we call alchemy. You can make gold out of some ordinary metal.
Right.
The government comes in and says, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that. And if they're really pressed, they're going to say, and we'll pay for it a certain way. And they use mirrors and smoke and strange projections, and they delay payments in order to show that maybe possibly self-financing.
If you would, I'd like you to hear something that Richard Trumka, the head of the AFL-CIO, said last night at the Kennedy School of Government. I was stunned by it, even as a union leader, for him to be this blatant in his view about sharing wealth, not creating opportunity, not generating opportunity, but sharing wealth. Here's Richard Trumka for last night. I want to just get your reaction to this.
Working people want an economy that creates good jobs, where wealth is fairly shared, where the economic life of our nation is about solving big problems like the threat of climate change, rather than creating big problems like the foreclosure crisis.
What is your reaction to that?
My reaction is very simple. And this is one of our problems in this country today. We do not have an economic policy. We have a social policy disguised as an economic policy. And social policy is all about redistribution. And redistribution doesn't drive productivity and doesn't raise economic growth. And this is a fundamental difference between libertarians and the Democrats. Democrats view the world as a fixed pie. The only way you can improve the life of one group is to take an equivalent amount away from another group. Libertarians and market-oriented policymakers think the pie can rise, and good, sound economic policies will increase the size of the pie so that everyone can actually have a rising standard of living, and it isn't a fixed-sum game where you have to take away from one group to give to another.
And it is very clear that the head of the AFL-CIO means to be a redistributionist, means to be, if you will, a socialist.
At least a social democrat. We don't know whether he'd go as far as a socialist. But, Lou, we're looking at an economy. I mean, think of an economy where all the issues we talked about in terms of who pays taxes and who pays for government spending. But we also have an economy where the government decides what banks will lend to, at what interest rates, and what their executives will be paid. The government's now going to be in charge of health care. The government's now going to control close to almost one half of the dollars flowing through the economy. This is not the U.S. economy that you and I think of, but it's the one we have.
Yeah, and not being that economy, you forgive me, but I feel like a stranger in a strange land here. This is not a brave new world. I've entered a strange land.
Well, all I can say is that one of your colleagues once said to me, if I wanted to live in France, I'd move to France.
There you go.
Food's better.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I do pretty well even on the bad food here,
Okay.
But I was thinking actually of fast food. When I get home, I get great food.
Okay.
But now I think I've covered all the bases here. I think I'm okay.
Well, Lou, let me just leave you with one
Sure.
issue. Any government that proposes to restore the U.S. economy has to answer 5 basic questions.
All right.
What are they trying to do? How are they going to do it? Why is it going to work? Where are they going to get the money? And how much is it going to cost?
Uh-huh.
And until you answer those 5 questions, this economy is basically rudderless. Businesses don't know what to invest or how to invest. They have regulatory uncertainty. They don't know about their costs. People don't know whether to spend or not spend or buy houses or not. And that's why those 5 simple questions have to be answered.
What are those 5 questions again? Let's go through that.
What are you trying to do?
Right.
How are you going to do it? Why is it going to work? How much is it going to cost? And where are you going to get the money?
And you know what I was just thinking about? Those 5 basic questions. We have just watched our Congress and our president sign into law Obamacare legislation, purporting to take over 1/6 of the economy. They didn't answer a single one of those questions.
Correct.
Not a single one.
Well, that's right. But, let's simplify Obamacare.
All right.
In its simplest form, you're saying there are 35 million Americans who don't have health care.
Right.
We're going to give that to them.
Right.
That's the basic premise of Obamacare. That costs trillions of dollars.
And
it's very simple. If you give and that money has to come from somewhere.
Exactly.
And that's why the health care debate never focused on the core issue. It may be that we as a society decide that is a good thing, that everyone in this country should have health care. That may be a good social choice. But it should be framed in a very simple it should be framed simply. There are 35 million people. We're going to give a large new entitlement program to. It's going to cost X trillion dollars. Do you think it's worth it?
And what will be the impact on me?
And what will be the impact on me? Who's going to pay for it? That's right. Who's going to pay for it? Where the money is going to come from? What will be the impact on every individual in this society? And we can decide. Is this something we want to do? Now, President Obama and Speaker Pelosi have said this is not a question. It's a moral imperative.
Right.
So anyone who disagrees with doing this is just a bad person.
And unfortunately, it is an ever-dwindling minority who will be paying for whatever the consequences are. Adam Lerrick, we thank you as always for being here. We appreciate it.
My pleasure, Lou.
Come back soon. Adam Lerrick at the American Enterprise Institute, scholar there. As I say, what I consider him to be one of the best economic thinkers in the country. And man, do we need great economic thinkers right now. And we need a few magicians as well. Thanks for listening.